It's happened yet. Here we go.
Hey there. How are you?
Full of enthusiasm, I see.
It's been a great day, but I just need to do my little technical stuff. It happens every week. You know the drill. So while I'm doing that, tell me about your life.
Welcome everybody to another week in Funky Frames, Seeing is Believing with the Spexy sisters.
I think when you say spexy, you have to say spexy.
Or not.
Like spexy.
Or not.
Okay. Well, I think I think some words have intonation, and the intonation is like important. But that's just me.
It is just you.
It is.
Entirely you. Nobody but you. Just you in this time.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm having again technical difficulties while I try to make sure that we are public and that the viewing public can see us. So while I'm doing that,
I don't really understand. How come, like, literally everything that you put on your page is always public?
I know, and for
You'd
whatever
be like,
reason,
hey, I found a gray armpit here, and that would be public. But this that you actually want to be public, you can't figure out how to make it public.
how to
What's up
make it
with that?
public, I have no idea. So actually, I'll have to do that from my phone.
Fune?
So my phone, because again, intonation. But I'm excited to be here, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful day. I don't know. I just get excited about the change of weather. Like, it does not take much for me, but you give me a little sunshine. Oh, baby, baby, I
Hmm.
am there, baby. All right, so we are officially public. So yeah, that's what I've been. I'm living for the city.
Yeah, the weather was nice today. It started off raining in the morning. I was not impressed, but by lunchtime, it was quite nice. Good for a lunchtime walk.
Yeah. So, pop question. What you got, sis? What you got?
What do you
What
mean,
you?
what do I got? What are you talking about? Steps?
Yeah.
Oh, you go sit down somewhere. Sit down
What you
somewhere
got,
because
sis?
I'm killing.
Are you killing though? Are you
I
really
am so
killing? Because
killing.
I did go everywhere today. I mean, I was a little bit of everywhere.
Okay, so what you got?
I have, let's see here, 10,747 steps.
Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.
And you?
Wow. I mean, I had to sit behind a desk all day, so I just, I had to really make the best out of what I could do. So, I have a paltry 14,690 steps.
Why did I know you were? I knew you were going to throw the word paltry in there.
Paltry.
Paltry. I knew that paltry was like I could have said it before you did. Paltry. I knew your choice of words were going to be paltry.
Well, I didn't say poultry though.
No, but paltry.
Yeah, it is paltry. But I did the best I could today.
Yada,
So,
yada, yada, yada. Well, congratulations. At least we're all over our goals out here making strides, moving our bodies. Yeah.
this is important. That was the great thing about my lunchtime walk today. I took a lunchtime walk with a new friend, and we were just talking about, things like transportation and the challenges of getting downtown to work, and how having a healthy body that you can move really can make all the difference in how many options you have for how to get to work when transit and highways and constructions and everything can be so challenged. To have healthy legs really, you know,
Oh,
gives
yeah.
you more options.
I don't take that for granted. I definitely don't take any of it for granted. I'm very grateful for my mobility, and I'm working really hard to make sure that I maintain that. And so, yeah, very, very grateful for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good. What are you drinking tonight?
Right now, nothing.
Oh, well, you and I are drinking the same thing tonight.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, I had been trying to lean towards a nice glass of lime sparkling water that my husband bought at the grocery store. And you know how it is when you buy something and you're like, I can't wait to drink this sparkling water. It's so refreshing. And then you open it and there was no tss.
Oh yeah, that's
When I
different.
opened it, there was no there was no noise, and I was looking in there like, wait a minute, what is this? And then I poured it out, and it was completely flat.
Oh,
You know,
that's not sexy.
not that there's anything wrong with flat water, but if you're going to drink flat water, you had to have been expecting flat water, because I was expecting sparkling water and the water was not sparkling. It was just so underwhelming.
Yeah, there's something about sparkle and crunch. Those two things, like something being sparkly when it should be and something being crunchy when it should be.
Yes.
I,
It's
I
just manage my expectations, is all I'm saying. If you say that the bottle has sparkling water, it should sparkle.
I agree. I agree. Much agreed. So yeah, today, I mean, I had an interesting day. Went out to celebrate the 22nd birthday of my daughter's best friend, and so we made a day of it, like a day of it until like 9:20, um, and we have walked everywhere, been everywhere, we've done all the things. So from, you know, um, picked her up in all the way out on the other side of town, but we went to Mexican town, so we had some Mexican food. Then we went to the DIA. Tiffany Massey has an amazing exhibit that is a must see at the DIA. The premise of her exhibit is that, when we think about adornment, like your earrings and your hair things, um, what would it be? What would it mean to develop art that is for the collective beautification of us? So
Hmm.
she has huge pieces designed for collective adornment, like, like big barrettes. Everything's big, and she's a metal worker, and so she's the youngest person to have a solo exhibit at the DIA, youngest Black woman. She is the first metal worker to graduate from that program, from metalwork. So she's doing huge pieces, and it was an amazing exhibit. So saw that today. Also saw Black Regeneration, which is an exhibit that leaves in June. Tiffany Massey's is there until 2025, so that's exciting. Hey, Ali.
Kelly.
Mm. And then we left from there, walked down into town. The girls laugh at me because I actually treat a city like Detroit as though everything's happening in my backyard. So I run into people. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I love people. I literally love people. I love meeting people. I love engaging with people. So we went there. We walked downtown. We went to the Lip Bar. We took the Q line. We came back up. We went to visit Barb. It was just really a nice day. And, you know, I got a few grandma comments, which I'm sure it's to be expected. Like, oh, the
Welcome.
last comment we got. So we were walking back to the car, and this car slows down, and this is when Zoena said, "This is only in Detroit." This young man said, "Hey, you two look really nice, and you too, Grandma. You look good,
Oh,
Grandma." And I was like, "Thank you, baby."
thank you.
And I was, I think there's just this level of it's just nice. It's nice to be acknowledged. And I don't feel like grandma-ish yet, but you know what? I will gladly take it.
Well, I'm
I will.
trying to get there. I am trying to get there. Like, I want to send a shout out to Pearl from Zenopia, who is a grandma waiting to happen.
Oh yeah, like any day
Like
now.
any day now. This has been, it was funny. Her and I were in a vendor's market this past weekend, and I swear everybody that came by our vendor's booth were like, Pearl, so is it baby time yet? Like, I looked at her like, if she's gonna be a grandma, I need to be a grandma like that. Like, my kids can't make me wait too long. I got to be a grandma while I still look good. Like, hey, let's go. Pearl's gonna be like the
The
hottest
hottest grandma.
grandma this side of town.
Well, I've got to add Allie to the list of hot grandmas too. Like, Allie holds it down for her grandkids. I got to say that. Like, her grandson in St. Vincent and her one that lives in the States. Grandmas be out here. I think becoming a grandma makes us hotter.
I think so too.
I think
Because you
that's
know what?
brilliant.
You get all the credit and none of the work, right?
That,
Like
right?
look at our girl Tara, our Tara, Caribbean Fit Vet Tara in Ottawa. She just became a grandma for the second time. And everybody's like, "You can't be a grandma. You look so good." I'm like, "But what did she do?" Like her daughter does all the work, but Tara gets all the grandma glow up. Like I need that. It's
I
like
know.
becoming a mom except with none of the stretch marks.
There
None of
you go.
you just get to have it all. I love it, you know?
There you
So
go.
ladies, let's get ready to step into our grandma stage of life. Like I'm ready.
I'm
I'm
ready.
ready. I'm ready.
Yeah. So it's been a good week. This is not hump day. We're almost hump day. I like Tuesday nights. Tuesday nights is like not hump day. It's like hump day junior. So
Yes, Hump
hump day,
Day Junior.
hump day junior. So yeah, been a good week. So tonight, what do we like? Where do we start? What do we do? What do we I will give you credit.
Thanks.
I think that tonight's subject was something that's been sort of like rumbling around up here. Like it's been in my head, like just
Mm.
thinking about it. And I never saw the correlation between our podcast on glasses and our podcast, our conversation about really seeing what's happening around us. I think
Right.
that's huge. I love
So
that.
tonight we're starting a new segment called What We're Seeing
What
in
we're
Seeing and
seeing.
Believing. What we're seeing so that we can also talk about things that are going on in the world around us because I'm seeing some things, right?
Me
And
too.
the topic that we're addressing tonight is really born out of a really interesting workshop that I went to online last week. So, and I want to big up the organizers just because the topic was so great, you know. So the the workshop was called Identifying and Disrupting Financial Shame.
Ooh,
Identifying
yes.
and Disrupting Financial Shame, and it was organized by a process or a program called The Trauma of Money. The Trauma of Money. And it really was a conversation looking at trauma informed approaches to the way that we feel about money. And I think that what I got from it was how it's such an important conversation to have because many of us are dealing with our finances in ways that make us feel bad and
Hmm.
we feel like failures around certain things, not realizing that not only are many of these things completely outside of our control, but also that we are not alone and it's nothing that we have done badly.
I think that's huge. Like, I think um, we live in a society that talks about like there's personal success, um, but there's also this sense of personal failure. Like when and we actually start to judge people on their proximity to money, like who you are like so we celebrate the rich and we vilify the poor, right?
Yeah.
But you have what I call situational poverty, which is I might have been in a good situation, but today, based on the factors that all around me, whether it's high interest rates, whether it is, um, you know, work, all these things, now I have a situation that makes my experience different. So, with that, do I now become all these other vilifying characteristics?
Yeah. And it's not just a matter of your own bad choices, you know, which is what many of us have been taught to believe. If somebody is broke, there's all like, or if we have to use the word broke, or like broken, you know, it's always an idea that they probably had a gambling problem. They probably had a spending problem. They had no self discipline. They were not financially organized. They did not plan ahead for their retirement. They didn't save a lot. Um, and and I think that it's really important for us to talk about what's going on in the world and what's going on in our lives, you know, without shame, remembering that it's not our fault. Um, I saw something on social media this week where um, a woman said, a young woman said, confession time. That's literally how she started the post. Confession time. And her concern was that she didn't have a lot of money saved for retirement. She's 49 years old and she really just didn't know what she was going to do. So I'll read it to you.
Okay.
It says, confession time. This is Jesse Electra, Jessica Non Grata. Confession time. I'm almost 49 and I have zero retirement savings. No exaggeration. Absolutely nothing. Maybe $900 in my checking account. No idea WTF I'm going to do. And I know I can't be the only one.
Whew. I feel that in my soul. Like I feel that in my soul, but I also feel the shame of that because there's something about if that statement was written by somebody who was 22, it would be so different. But it's written by somebody who's in their 40s and 50s, and so 40s, 50s, right? So it is the shame of that, right?
Right. We feel like, oh, by 49, shouldn't you have it all figured out? Figured out? Shouldn't you be doing better? Shouldn't you have, and there's no specific dollar amount that anybody could give you, you know, like you should have started saving when you were 20, except for those student loans, you know, and then you shouldn't have taken student loans, except you needed to get that education. And if you didn't get an education and you're working a minimum wage job, that's your own fault because you should have gotten an education. But then why did you get an education if you couldn't afford it? But now you can't afford it if you didn't get an education. So it just keeps going round and round and around.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
So
so, what was the response? What were some of? I'm interested in what the comments were on that.
you're interested in the comments.
Yes.
Okay, well, um let's go into it. So I found it on Facebook because somebody had copied it over or shared it over from Instagram. So where it was shared on Facebook within my friends, I think it didn't have nearly as much engagement as it did on the Instagram post.
Mm.
So um I thought this was interesting. So many people said something along the lines of, it's never too late to start. Create a budget to identify how much you can invest or save every month. Open up an IRA and start investing into some ETFs or index fund every month. A popular one is the SP 500. Look, I'm talking about sunscreen, right? SP 500. Start reading books, watching YouTube, and listening to podcasts to gain as much knowledge as you can about investing. Good luck, and you got this. Um, Next one says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. I'm like, great mug slogan. Start now. Don't be a victim. I'm 21 and I have a 6-figure stock portfolio. I don't know what to tell you. LOL.
Thanks. Okay, boomer or Zer.
Or Zoomer. It's never too late to start. Look for someone who is financially mature and has all their boxes checked, and then marry them. I was like, okay, that's not. I'm not mad at that advice. I am
I'm
not mad at it. But and then there's also, she's a girl. She can only fans her way out.
mm,
Yeah, but what I really noticed from the comments is that most of it was advice for what you can personally do, including the most ubiquitous one is always just start saving now, as if you had the extra to save, don't you think you would have been saving before now? The problem is not like, what a great idea. Why did I just start saving? You know, if I could just save an extra $1,000 a month every month between now and, or no, you need like $5,000 a month. If I save $5,000 a month from now until retirement age, I'll be set. I'll just come up with an extra $5,000 a month.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, right, like I know for I can speak to like financial crises history here in what I've been through, right? Like in here what's happened was we had a housing crisis. Like we had the big meltdown of 2008, right? So where people did have monies. And what happened? People's property became so like undervalued, right? That impacted people. Or when
Mhm.
the city of Detroit decided, they became the first major city in the United States ever to file bankruptcy. When the city files for bankruptcy, you know what happens in bankruptcy? They get to wipe out their debt. Well, their debt was actually people's pensions. So, yes, yes. So when they say we don't have the money to pay and we're filing bankruptcy as an entire city entity, then people like teachers who had invested, people like firefighters or police officers, their pensions got affected by that. That's not, that's like, it seems so cavalier to say just save. That was something like you had people's monies and then you couldn't meet the demands of that, and they got injured in that. So people were forced to work or try to figure that out, and it's,
Mhm.
I think it's so challenging.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
what the answer is.
I think that a lot has changed, even just in my relatively short lifetime. A lot has already changed. You know, like I remember people being younger. When I was younger, I remember older people had planned for their retirement, like you said, by trusting in their employer to take a portion of their paycheck and invest it in a pension that was going to be there for them when they retired. By the time I was a full-time working age, they no longer had that option. All you had was the right to save your own money a little bit by little bit in a, I guess you call it a 401k maybe. There here we call it an RRSP, and you
Right.
could start an RRSP, and when you retire, whatever you've saved, that's all you have. Now, a pension is more of a collective action, and I really feel that that's telling you something important about what the solutions are. When we were all saving together, then we were all benefiting together. But if you're saving on your own, and I managed to scrape together maybe $50,000 at the end of paying for everything I need in my life, I managed to hold on to $50,000. This person can save $100,000, but they tell you, oh, if you start saving as soon as you're 18, you could save $1 million. That's
What is
good.
$1 million today?
A
What is
million
that?
dollars wouldn't even buy a house in Toronto today. So you don't ever know how much you're going to need. And when you get there and you don't have what you thought you were going to need, because $1 million sounded like enough money in 1986, I'll tell you that. But when you see how long you're going to live and you get there and you don't have enough money, then everybody looks at you like you should have saved more. How could you know? And even pensions were based on the idea that you were only going to need a little bit of money in retirement because, of course, your house was going to be paid for.
Mm.
Of course, your house was going to be paid for. And yet, people find out that they could pay on their house for years and years and years and years
Never
and
pays again.
years. Interest rates right now are terrible. Everybody here is talking about it. Like, even just to speak of my own experiences in this past year, that my monthly requirement for what I have to pay for my home doubled between last year to now, and then went up a little bit higher starting this month. Now, you know what didn't double?
Your
My
salary.
paycheck.
Hmm.
Paycheck didn't double. You know, the cost of groceries are going up, but paychecks are not going up. The cost of gas is going up, paychecks are not going up. So logistically, we're all thinking, where are we supposed to be getting this extra money from that everybody is demanding from us all of a sudden? I can't go to my job and say, you know what? I need double the paycheck now. They won't give that to me.
So I think then it's really, for me, interesting to explore, number one, how we're living in community. Like, what does
Mm-hmm.
it look like to live in community where um, you have care? It's important to change the narrative. Like, I remember a rites of passage for me at when I was 21 or 18. One of the biggest rites of passage you had was to move out on your own and get your own apartment and live as an independent person, fully in their whole independence adulthood.
Did
That
it
I didn't
require
really.
all that, which you're doing now too?
Yes, yes. I mean, I had stemware. Okay, I had
Yeah,
stemware
sure. It
because
came from Canadian Tire, but it was stemware.
stemware, and I put wine in it, and I felt adultish, right? All of that is part of this bigger narrative about what we tell our young people, what it means to be an adult. And we need to change that conversation. Being adult might mean that, as an adult, we all live together here and we share in the responsibilities of what it means to have this shelter that we have right now. We all work together to do that. That might be the narrative. It
Yeah,
might be a narrative
changing
around
changing values is
changing
is what we're
values.
really doing. Like in somewhere, I think just it didn't always exist in our grandmother's generation, but somehow between our mother's generation and us, the definition of adulthood became privacy. You know,
Mm,
when you become a teenager, privacy was something that we were taught to value. You wanted a door that you could close. And then when you were old enough, you wanted to go out there and have an apartment of your own with a door that you could close against others so that you can have privacy. Privacy is expensive. And privacy, when I think about how much privacy I had between the years of like 18 to 25, maybe, I think about how much privacy I had. Paid a lot of money. I paid a lot of other people's mortgages. My need for privacy was an investment in somebody else's wealth, not mine, just
right.
because we were told to value privacy you know so we need to value some different things that will create abundance for us and our communities, not corporations, not people who build condos and just want to put us all in little boxes so that we can pay thousands and thousands to them so we can have privacy. We need to change our values in community and family, and that's the first one.
I was having a conversation with my daughter this week, and even they had been expanding their thinking even beyond that, which, like, when we get married and it's me, my husband, then we might have a couple little kids, a dog, a cat, a white picket fence, again, another structure, right? She said, but I like living with my roommate. So what if me and my roommate and we all live together, but we extended it beyond the college experience and we lived, and then even if I did have a family and get married, we still lived together. And then you'd have a built-in auntie, and you'd have, because we are understanding now that the nuclear family as we know it, it's problematic, right? There are problems with this self-reliance on just one other person. And I know I can speak for, um, when I'm in St. Vincent and I'm visiting with Ali, this sense of all of us belonging to something, sharing food is huge. Like, it's huge. Getting up, cooking, preparing, making sure that everybody's cared for. So I think taking the conversation away from what we can acquire to how we can care. Like, what does it mean to care for the people that you are in community with? What would that look like?
It's so funny, but Sunday night we went to the Mother's Day comedy show, the Trinidad versus Jamaica Mother's Day comedy clash. Big up Jay Martin, Team Jamaica. Big up John Paul, Team Trinidad. Big up Julie Mango. It was her first time in Toronto, so
Wow.
we had a lot of great people come out. But something that Jay Martin said that stood out, he said to the audience, So how many of you went to daycare? And we all laughed. Like that was comedy for this audience. We all laughed because, of course, nobody went to daycare. What was daycare? You know, for us, daycare was your auntie, your granny, your mother's cousin's friend's daughter took care of you. Like we did not go to, mostly for the most part, our generation did not go to these government run or privately run homes of strangers. And now one of the biggest expenses that people talk about when they're having children is, oh my gosh, how am I going to afford daycare? Because us not living communally is again creating wealth for somebody else. So if you can't rely on your family, then you have to rely on others in exchange for money, which it's very like it's not the best way. Again, it's just putting out instead of in. So again, we need to be looking at our relationships and to see how can we nurture each other for our own benefit. You know, whether it's daycare, whether it's sharing groceries, whether it's carpooling, you know, walking together, helping each other, potlucking, whatever it is, we, you know, planting a garden, sharing what you have in the garden. I really want to see and hear some good ideas on how we can cut our reliance on the currency of money and change our community currency to investing in each other.
Well, I can tell you this. Like I think that whenever we're hyper focused on what, like I was doing some research in St. Vincent, and I was reading the words of our great grandfather George A. McIntosh, and he was talking about community building, and he was talking about advocacy. He says we do need money. We need money to meet our daily needs. Like we need money, but what we have in capitalism is we have this conflated sense of the importance of money.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many other it's just kind of like it's also like having this we have other areas of our life that if we were able to shine the light on those two, they would also thrive. So this last week I was in Toronto with you. We did our podcast from Toronto, but I was there, and I have my sweet aunt who we visited, had a knee replacement. Just being able to take the time, like if I had been working to get money, if I had a 9 to 5, I couldn't take the time to care for her. That matters. Um, I also was I remember when I had both of my children, and within less than a month, Elaine came down to Detroit. And as I got better, she bathed our babies, she fed them, she took care of them, she clothed them. I couldn't imagine trying to heal without that support. I couldn't pay her, but we were in community, right?
Mhm.
And I think we have to think about that, because money can only go so far. You can have all the money in the world, but I always refer to Ali. Ali says you can't cook money, you can't eat money, you can't drink it, and you can't wear it. It is a
It can't serve
tool.
you. Dollar bills are only in the cartoons do dollar bills like Scrooge McDuck. The dollars stand up and they walk towards you and they go do things. But real money, it's just numbers in a bank account, and it's the value that we place on it. It's the value because it's a currency that we decided that we're going to share. But if nobody wants your money and all you have is money, then nobody wants you. You know, your first currency should be the way that we treat and talk to each other. You know, so many elders I know of in the generations past where their children moved away from them because the relationship was irreparably broken and they didn't have anybody to care for them, you know, and that's really, really unfortunate. And that to me is the most important retirement plan, is a great relationship with either your children or the children in your community so that you have somebody to look out for you. That's the retirement plan we need to be thinking about. Not how much money we have, but how much support do we have from people around us? How much love do we have? How much do people want to be around us and help us care for us?
So then what do we say to people who will say, well, I don't want to be a financial burden on my kids. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to be burdening them. If that 49-year-old hasn't saved enough, but she has children, is she a burden to her children? Or do you just see this as, because I don't see that. I see that as understanding our values where our kids understand that we would be part of their family. Like, there's no separation between the lives that you have then. Like, I'm very clear with my children. Physically, I'm able-bodied right now. Go out there, fly, do what you need to do, live your life. I don't need you right now because I'm good. Physically, I'm good. Emotionally, I'm good. I have a partner as well. I'm good. But there may come a time where I need to be with you. We could talk about that. But I see myself as an integrated part of this whole family. We are a village and we're connected that way, right?
I think if you don't want to be a burden, then be a help. And there's many ways that I think we can avoid being a burden. And it may be a little bit presumptuous for me to always like to believe that I know everything because I don't know what I'm going to age like. But I know that at this stage of life, I'm trying to do the best that I can to keep my mobility together and to not just assume that being old means that I have to be sick. If I'm as healthy as possible, I can be a help to my children instead of a burden to them when I get older. Can I help them with their children? Can I stay home? Can I have dinner ready for them when they get home? Like, what can I do? That's what I think about for my senior years. What am I still capable of that I can do for my children? And again, it comes down to values, because I know a lot of times in this past generation, we've been very much about, okay, get that degree, get 2 or 3 degrees, don't have children until you have your life 100% together, and you may never have it 100% together. So I always say the later we have our children, the less likely that we're going to have people around to help us. So I'd say for values, I'm not saying like, hey, everybody should be a teenage parent, but I'm saying that it doesn't have to be the end of the world. If your child has a child young, help them. Continue to always help and support our families, however they are. You know, there should not be something that is so bad that it should break things up. We've got to find a way to stick together and to help each other. It's the only way we're going to get by, because we're in a financial crisis, but it doesn't have to be a family crisis if we can find a way to stick together and work together as families. Like, I think it's the only way.
And
As
what I think will happen is, I think eventually, if we can see a collective mind shift to this, like, we're noticing it in small ways. Like, I just saw this news story the other day about McDonald's. McDonald's was like, hey, wait a second. People are cooking at home and they're not buying fast food.
Really?
We need to make our fast food cheaper. We need a $5 meal that people can have because something's happening out there. They are seeing the trend. So we know that as things get harder, our collective response is usually to pull together. It can't be to pull apart. Our collective response is to lean in to what we know, like in transition times, like when people were moving, whether from the Caribbean to North America, whether from the South to the North, when they got where they were, the first order of business was create community where you are. Create community right where you are. If you do that, then you've built the infrastructure. The rest, you can figure that out, but build community where you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
First order of business.
And there's also, chasing, our generation has come out of a lot of dream chasing as first generation immigrants, and I see that continuing in the ways that we feel that we can't afford to stay where we are, so when we're talking about that need for privacy or that need to own something that's just for ourselves, many people are saying, okay, well, I'm going to move to Edmonton because houses are cheaper out there. I'm going to move to this place where the standard of living is cheaper. However, when we're moving to these places in isolation, we don't have our family. Everything becomes more expensive when now we don't have anybody to help us with childcare. We don't have anybody to share groceries with us. We don't have a lot of the different kinds of supports that we were used to have when we were local. I feel like I would rather my children stay here and share here than to go away searching for something, but wherever it is that you have to go, the first order of business, like you said, is to build community as quickly as possible.
Quickly as possible. And it is a muscle, right? It is a
Yes, it
practice
is.
that, once you have cell phones and platforms, so a simple platform it may be easier to pick up your phone and call Uber. Or you could extend yourself and ask your neighbor for that ride.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like, and I do it out of practice. Like, I ask for help because I want to practice that and I want others to know that I'm also available for that. So carpooling isn't what we do because we need it. It's what we do because it is one of the tools to building community. Building community means that I'm building trust with you. I'm being able to be vulnerable when I need it. I'm able to say I need help with this. And I think, huge shout out to Sonia James, our mother, because that was definitely something that I learned from watching her navigate things. There's a moniker which is like, "Oh, I'm a single mother." But are you really ever? If you're ever existing in a community, can you really be that? Maybe when you're in your house. But for the most part, I moved through our neighborhood as though everything was available to me. I knew the Williamses, I knew the Georges. I could call anybody. I felt like how to Detroit today was how I moved as a kid through our neighborhood, because I feel like that's what our kids need: safe adults and a safe village to live in where they feel they know they can trust that.
Yeah. And I think that circles back to where we started with the concept of disrupting financial shame. Because when I think about what it means to be single, whether you're a single parent or a single person, or you seem like a person alone, but we're only alone when we cannot safely share with others. I remember in the Black Moms connection, and shout out to Tanya Hales for running this amazing Facebook group for Black moms. We talk about all kinds of things, but one mom asked, how are you doing out there? Single moms, times are really hard right now. Like, interest rates, groceries, gas, this and that. How are you doing out there, single moms? And people were checking in. And then one lady said, well, I think whether we're single moms or married moms is hard for everybody.
Hmm.
So, a little tiny little bit of all lives mattering in this moment, because
Right.
really it was trying to be a conversation for single moms. But another mom said, you know what? It's not the same. I know you think it's the same, but it's not the same, because when you're a single mom, you're single on on an intellectual level, like not an intellectual level, but in terms of carrying the mental load. That's what I mean. Like, you have nobody to share the load with.
Yeah.
The bills are your bills. The worries are your worries. If you didn't do something, it's not going to get done because there's nobody else that you can assign it to. That's how it felt. That's how
Hmm.
she described it. And I thought, yes, it does. And even if you're in the worst financial situation, at least if you have a partner, you can turn to them and be like, man, we are in a really bad financial situation, and try to hope that you're working together on that. That's the hope.
That's so
but
true.
but when you're by yourself and you don't feel that you can turn to somebody else and just say, man, we have it really bad, that's a really bad position to be in. but it's not because you need a partner. It's because we need to disrupt the shame of feeling that we can't tell anybody about it. And I want to challenge all of us to just be like, yeah, how, like, when someone says, "How are you doing?" Don't just say fine. It doesn't mean you want them to solve your problems per se, but they may have ideas and could possibly help you. Don't just say fine. If you're stressed, say you're stressed. Say why, say what's going on, because again, we are all struggling out here together. We are all, many of us are in the same boat in some way.
So do you ever worry that you'll be judged for that?
How, well, no.
Okay,
And I guess,
you role play. Like I say to you, you say, "Hey, Kija, how you doing?" I'm like, "Girl, I ain't got no money. Like I'm really struggling. I got like 17 cents in my account right now. I mean, I know it's not forever, but what are you thinking when I say that? How are you processing that?"
I'm like 17 cents. I could buy like a pack and a half of 10-cent gumballs. No, I don't. I guess I feel like, you know, we do the, we sometimes we do that thing where it's like we try to make sense out of all the ways, like how can your life still be all good, like with when you have such a small amount of money, which means it's an opportunity for us to talk about it, right? Like, what are you doing? What am I doing? Or what have you? And in terms of being judged, I guess people will just have to, if they're going to judge, they're going to have to judge quietly. But I know that I did not raise my mortgage on myself, right? Like I did not raise interest rates. We don't know who's doing this stuff. We don't know what banks are doing. Banks are all like, it's business as usual. There was a whole pandemic, people lost their jobs and banks were still like, "Man, I'm really sorry about that, but you still got to pay that mortgage though.
Mhm.
You still got to pay. You don't get your mortgage forgiven." Right?
Exactly.
If you lost your job during the pandemic, you did not make
Or
the pandemic.
you lost your job, or you lost your partner, or you
Yeah,
lost your house, or you lost all the things that, or you lost your confidence. Like
you
there,
lost your confidence.
like I think like when I think about myself, like when people are like, "Hey, the last job I had was probably the most abusive work situation I'd been in." And I was like, I don't know if I can get back on that horse again. And there's some people who can't. We are selling our souls just to live.
Mhm.
We have to disrupt that. And what I feel, I have real hope in young people who are really, really starting to help us rethink what that might look like.
Yeah. The future of work has to look different because this is not sustainable. This morning was a bad morning before, like, it started. Like sometimes you just have those crying in the shower mornings, like just release. It was a crying in the shower morning. And then after that was done, it was starting to write, like it was a writing moment. Like I started working on a new bit because I was frustrated because I don't want to have stupid conversations. In a nutshell, I don't want to have a stupid conversation. And one of the stupid conversations that I frequently have to have with the bank is, so, um, has anything changed about your financial situation? This is the question. I'm like, who gets paid to ask these things? Like, if you bounce a check or you bounce a mortgage or your phone bill can't get paid or something, the bank is always quick to say, "Has something changed about your financial situation?" And I thought this morning, I'm like, "No, mofo. Nothing has changed. That is the problem. You have changed, right? I didn't change these interest rates. How are you gonna double my ish and then turn around and say, has something changed? Like, if you don't know that something has changed, like, what kind of conversation are we having here? I don't want to have these stupid conversations. I'm tired. I'm tired of stupid conversations. I'm tired of the bank asking me stupid questions. Like, nobody can and should be expected to live under these regimes. It's crazy. It's
And
a
I don't want
crazy.
to internalize it. I refuse to internalize that as my like me not like I've had money in my hands, and then I've had times when I haven't had money in my hands, and then I know that money, because of what it's supposed to do, will come back around again, because money is energy, and that's what it's supposed to be used to be. I give you something, you give me something, we exchange it. But I refuse to internalize and make myself less than, or
Yeah.
think I'm less than, because I don't have what you've raised it to. No, I'm not tap dancing to that drum. You can beat the drum as fast as you want, but the pace at which I'm going, I have to walk it.
But we do have to talk through it because we can reject it, but you can only reject it until you come home and somebody has locked your doors. Where are you going
Ah,
to go? What are you going
true,
to do? Right?
true.
Like, these are the things that we need to work on together as community. Here in Toronto, people are being forced to sell their homes, but yet they still have to live somewhere. Where? I think about when I learned about the people in Flint and what was happening there, where all these homes are getting foreclosed on. Everybody was just sitting in front of empty houses. Why?
That was Detroit.
Yeah, why?
And now we have a situation where housing is so expensive. At one point, every Detroit was laughed at because we're the city where people could buy a house for $1, until you can't.
Until you can't.
Until and and the bank holds all the real estate until they decide, hey, we've been holding. It is a game that is a dangerous game. And yeah, I know we have to keep having the conversations, and I'm so glad tonight. I hope somebody is listening, and if you hear nothing else, know that it isn't you.
It is
That
not you.
it is not. It ain't you. You're
It ain't
not the.
us.
It ain't us. We we have to change things, and by ourselves we can't, but as a collective something has got to give. And so,
Yeah.
wow, we've talked a long time and haven't pulled out glasses. We Let's
Well,
do
because
that.
we needed a proper segue, right? Now, remember, the show is called Seeing is Believing, and that's kind of what we do here. When I was at the market, the Mother's Day weekend market, I really thought about what it meant to be selling spectacular frames, right? Like, it's not a luxury item, it's a practical necessity. We need to
Mhm.
see, but there's no reason why we can't look good while we're seeing at an
Right,
affordable price.
at an affordable price.
We deserve to look good for less. And
Mhm.
that's what we're doing here. So the theme of our frames tonight is going to be, how can we move from being in the red financially? As an economic term, being in the red means to be like under, to not have it, to be struggling, but look good. How can we move from being in the red to being in the black by virtue of our commitment to working together in families and communities? So we're going to showcase some reds, and then we're going to showcase some blacks. And I see you've gotten a head start on that, Keisha.
I do. Today was just one of those days. Like, for me, the color combination of red and gray is just something that I love. And so when I'm excited about a day, I tend to wear that combination. And I especially love these frames. They're a little wide, maybe
Mm-hmm.
too wide, but I love them. And I can't tell you how many times I got stopped today with these frames. So these were my day frames. And I'm rocking it with the Lip Bars Boss Lady, which is a red that looks good on everybody. And I went down to the Lip Bar, which is, they're headquartered in downtown Detroit. So I was in the Lip Bar today and I tried it on, and this is Boss Lady and my red shades.
Well, I am rocking something too. And I'm not just talking about the frames, although this is one of my frames that I love. It's hard to see that the actual color of them, but they're actually a little orangey red,
Mhm.
translucent. But what I am rocking is a new face powder. You
Ooh,
can't tell.
I
You
can't.
can't tell. Because today we went foundation shopping for the prom, because my
You're
daughter's
going to
going
the
to the
prom?
prom this
Oh, you're
week.
Your daughter. Okay.
My daughter is going to the prom this week, so we went foundation shopping, and she was like, "Oh, why don't we go to such and such store at the mall?" And I said, "No, we're not doing that. We are going to Fab Faces by Fiona, who is the purveyor of Juvia's Place here in Toronto. So Juvia's Place, wow, when I went to Fab Faces by Fiona, she was able to show us so much new products that Juvia's Place, a black owned brand, has come out with. They have a new foundation that has, skincare, skin corrective qualities in the foundation, which was really cool. And then they also have a pressed powder, but a moist pressed powder foundation that I just bought. I'm just going to reach over here just because their packaging is always so amazing.
Ooh.
Yes. So this is the I Am Magic powder foundation for me in Katsina. I got that today.
Oh,
So
nice.
if you're in Toronto, get on the gram and look up Fab Faces by Fiona, and she will hook you right up. And she does color matching in person. She was right there at the Mother's Day market this weekend doing free makeovers for the moms. So yes, check her out. If you want her Instagram, you can see where she's going to be.
And be intentional about where you spend your dollars.
Yeah.
Juvia's Place is a black owned company, and the Lip Bar is a black owned company. And we are a black owned black owned companies selling you frames. So
yes,
be intentional with your dollar.
Yes. So what's your first frame in the red? Let's get through this because I'm sure these people want to go to bed.
All right. So my first frame in the red is what I call the red hatch. And I love this frame. Do you see this? So this is a square frame. It's got a red hatch design. So these are cutouts here. And it's got tortoise on the arms. So you see that.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
Really nice. And they're a wire frame. I do love these. I love the shape. I love how they pop. I love,
yeah, especially with the lipstick.
Mhm.
Definitely.
They pop. So they're a really true red, and a great pair of specs. So these are my first red pair.
Okay. Well, my first red pair is actually a red and blue pair that we just have in. It has a little clear across the top and some little angled cutouts at the side.
Ooh,
Navy
nice.
and red at the nice rounded cat eye, and blue on the arms, and champagne on the inside.
Oh, I like that. That is a nice look. I like that. Even though it pops red, the blue gives it a more conservative look, and I love that.
Yes.
That's a
Tones
nice
it
look.
down a little bit. Like I would wear this with a nice pinstriped suit.
Do they still make those?
I don't know, but when they did make them, I liked them. I really liked them. They made me look more mature.
Mature, yes.
Mature,
yes.
Yeah.
I like it. Nice pair. Nice selection.
All right, so that's number one.
So number two for me is a practical, bookish. When I think about these frames, I don't know why I think of Judy Blume, but I do. So I do love these. These are a red, true red nerdy girl. They're giving nerdy girl goes to the library. But again,
Come a little closer. Don't be shy. Okay.
I love these. I love where they sit on my face. I love where they sit on my cheeks. I like they're a rounded cat eye, but they are lovely. And I have these in red, but I also have them in blue. But since we're not talking about blue tonight, we are sticking with the red. But yes.
What a surprise. Because that frame was my, I think it's the same as my second pick, number two.
Oh, wow. So it's amazing to me that you can have the same frame, but it looks so different, right? Now, I will say that my red is popping because the lip color is lifting the frame, and your frame is looking a little bit more muted
Yes,
because because of the lipstick change.
yes.
And I've also got the color on my shirt. So frames can bring up color, right?
And I think that you said that they reminded you of Judy Bloom.
Mm-hmm.
But some people that were looking at them at the market on the weekend were saying that these are Sally Jesse
Sally
Raphael.
Jesse Raphael. Yes, I was gonna say that. I love them.
But I
I
call
love
them Helen, these glasses. When I like to name the glasses, these glasses, I call them Helen
Yes,
because they stay ready.
they stay ready. So
Ready.
nice, nice for a
Yeah.
second pair.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
for my second pair.
And then we have my last pair of reds. Now, this is what I call an extreme cat eye, which again, I love.
Oh, wow. Those look good. They make you look so like you're
Meow.
ready to get into some trouble.
Ooh, 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 ooh. And what I love this again, because I'm wearing a shirt that has red and white, this white is popping the white that's running
In
across
around
here.
the
I
edges.
never really noticed this that much, but there it is. The white on the top of these frames. These frames are everything. They're extreme. And when you enter a space, you have to be willing to be like, go there with these. Like, go there.
Yeah, I like those. And we also have those available in a black
Mhm.
and lime greenish yellow
Yeah,
edged
chartreuse, black and chartreuse.
chartreuse, if you
Yes.
will. Chartreuse.
Mhm.
Well, my third pair, I want to dedicate my third pair to a wonderful entrepreneur whose name is Dr. Patsy, and that's Patzi, Dr. Patsy, with a naturalist clinic, the Naturalist Clinic. And she came by on the at the Mother's Day weekend shopping event, and she just honed in on this particular pair, which is a red, blue, and orange layered cat eye. And she absolutely loved these. As soon as she saw them, she was like, I will be coming back for those. And she did. So she is someplace wearing them in good health right now. I really enjoyed talking to her. Um, she was showcasing some of her wonderful teas, and we bought a delicious turmeric tea that was good for the lungs.
Oh, I like that. And that has orange in it. So
Yeah,
funny that you pulled those frames because if I needed another pair, boom.
but
I know, I was like torn.
so you couldn't make up your mind that she
I don't
did.
know my mind, but here they are.
Yes, I like these. I like
These are
these a
nice.
lot. I like
They're very
anything
soft.
that has a pop of orange.
Yeah, and so if you get close enough, it has blue, it has orange, it has red. Nice. Nice pair.
Right. So we can make it work in the red, but once we all start working together, soon we will be in the black. We'll be
All right.
black in the black.
Back back to black.
Back to black. Black in the black.
So why don't I let you kick off the black?
Okay. Okay. So this pair is a square aviator, silver and black.
Nice.
Yes, and this pair is dedicated to Kathy Maxwell Nickel, who bought a pair of these on Saturday. What I would liked about this is that I've always just called them black and silver, but when Kathy saw them, Kathy was like, "Ooh, black and brushed nickel." I was like, "All right now,
Mhm.
brushed nickel." I like that. That sounds a lot more popping. I said I thought it was just silver, and she said, "Au contraire, that
Okay, fair.
silver would be shiny, but this has a more muted appearance." So she says
Mhm.
it's definitely brushed nickel. And these are aviators available in black.
I love those. I love that detail across the top.
It makes me just want to go put on a motorcycle jacket.
Yeah, that's nice.
This is my first black pair.
All right. Well, for my first block paw, I am going with the, we call these the Jolene, 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 Jolene. So this is a rhinestone inspired, like when I think about Cowboy Carter and I think about Jolene and the country, I think about this kind of look and I love it. It's a black metal mat with rhinestone details. So you can see the details there.
And very exciting cutouts in the metal.
Yeah, they're very nice detailed cutouts there. So these are my first black pair. I mean, sometimes you just don't need to go with jewelry because you can have that jewelry, that bling bling on the glasses. And so, yeah, I love this look.
Yeah, good move. When we're talking about jewelry for the face and bling bling on the glasses, that definitely represents my second pair, which
Ooh,
is a black with clear and sparkling silver.
ooh,
So
nice.
it's kind of like a three-toed. It's a three-way. One black arm and one silver sparkling arm. So you get a little bit of everything with this look and a nice bold square.
Nice. Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That is different and unique. I like it because when you're looking from afar, it gives an illusion. It's like a floating frame. It's giving you like floating,
Yes.
like you're trying to make it out. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember earlier in the season we had these in brown and mint green.
Yes.
And we called them after eights, like the chocolate mint. These, I don't know, I'm not quite sure what I would call these yet, but I like them. They're kind of like, they're still something kind of glittery and sparkly. If I could think of a black glittery sparkling thing, that's what I would call these. So I'm open to ideas.
I like those. Like
Yeah,
those.
thank you very much.
All right. For my second pair, I am going with a very substantial frame.
Substantial.
Substantial. So when I say substantial, like I like the shape, and so something that goes with that. And this is a substantial frame. So this is a frame that bold, the
Ah,
white triangles on the side, so it gives it a pop. Again, going with my lettering here, I like that. And it's got like a gray insert. So for my hair, it kind of lifts that gray again. I like these frames. When I say they're substantial, they are they're a weighty frame. So when you wear them, you know that they're on your face. Like they sit well, they're nicely situated. They sit nicely on my bridge. They're nice.
I really like the triangle detail at the side. It
Hmm.
gives it a lift, right? And it really looks good with your lipstick. Like you are not kidding about this boss lady.
That's right. The perfect red.
Perfect red.
So this is my second pair.
All right. Well, my last black pair is very straightforward in the black, but a little bit more refined in the shape.
Nice.
So it's a very bold frame. I call this Denise for Black Butterfly.
Hmm.
Sail across the water. So good solid arms and really, really big in the front. Yet
Oh, I like that.
I do like these too.
And what I like too is that I'm seeing a lot of your lid. So I
Mhm.
was thinking even if you were rocking some eyeshadow, you would still be able to see the beauty of your eye makeup because sometimes that gets cut off when you're wearing frames. You get to see that all. It's a full window to your eye.
The full window. And the black is not heavy, but it definitely makes a statement, but it doesn't take over. Doesn't
Ab-
take over too much. I love
Absolutely.
these.
Like
Yes.
that. All right. Well, for my last pair, I mean, if it's like they say, if it's nice, well, do it twice. So here we go.
Hey! The chartreuse.
Chartreuse and black. So this was the same red pair I had on. Again, same shape, but different color. And again, a different vibe, a whole different vibe, right? So you can see the chartreuse playing across the top. It's a playful pear. I like both of the pairs. I think, I don't know, for me, just because of what I'm rocking tonight, I think I prefer the red, but I could rock the black. I mean, I just don't know. Options. Give
The black
yourself.
makes you look like a poet, or the black makes you look like you play the cello or something. Like there's just something so artsy about it. I really like those. Those are the kind of frames where you think, if I really liked that frame and I looked good in it, it's so unique. I'd probably buy both colors at once
Absolutely.
because it's like, how
Absolutely.
could you decide?
How could you decide? So those are our choices for tonight.
All right. So are we running through them again?
I dare say we are.
Okay, so we have just enough time to run through them again. So let's hit it. Number one.
Number one.
You got your number one on? Because you know
Yep.
already I can't see anything. Okay, number two.
Number two.
Helen stays ready. All right, good. Number three.
Number three.
I know somehow I feel like you're moving slower than me.
I am.
Okay,
And
black, number one. Yeah, I know you're trying to get your bonus pair in.
I wasn't trying to.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't. Wait, I
Rock
can't
number
remember.
one.
Wait, what was
Nicole.
number one? Jolene.
Jolene.
Sorry, I can't remember. And
Okay.
number two for the black.
Number two for the black. Yeah, I'll just call these after eights as well, like black and silver after eights. Does have a certain nighttime appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, last but absolutely not least, Denise.
I can't see anything.
I know. It's like, I hope something looks good out there.
All right.
All
So
right.
we're a little over tonight, but I want to say this. Like, in all seriousness, we had a really deep conversation tonight. If you are feeling like you are struggling, don't struggle alone. DM us, send us a message. Let's keep these conversations going. The only time capitalism wins is when we decide to hide in a corner. There are so many things that we're trying to fight. This is one of them. But the only way to do that is to make sure that you don't feel shame, that you don't feel alone. So send a message, reach out, even if it's just to say hi, even if you just want to check in, we're available for that, because there's nothing worse than feeling that you're alone in sinking in this thing. You don't have to do that. We're here.
And if you have ideas about or examples of ways that you are saving and building together in community, by all means, please put them in the comments, because you don't know who might need some ideas. You don't know who might need some inspiration. So let's help each other. Let's share ideas, and remember, let's keep on changing those values. And I want to shout out all the people who are involved in they call it a Loblaws boycott. I don't call it boycotting as much as I just call it, I'll shop somewhere else.
No, somewhere else.
Billionaire doesn't need my money. So yeah, so remember, shop black, shop small, shop local, and let's build our communities up. It's the only way that we can fight back against this scourge that is corporate greed.
Absolutely. And on that, you guys have a great night. And thank you always for joining us. We shall see you next week, God's willing. Peace.